The solution is not to move Africans to Europe, but to free Africa from certain Europeans. France continues to exploit Africa by printing currency for 14 African nations, making children work in mines, extracting raw materials, as happens in Niger, where France extracts 30% of the uranium it needs to run its nuclear power plants, while 90% of Nigerians live without electricity. Don't come here to lecture us, Macron, because Africa is fleeing from you.
Yeah, welcome to Willy Docu Stories. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I hope you're doing great. I myself am doing good, and we thank God. For my new subscribers, thank you. For those who have already subscribed to my channel, I can't take it for granted. Thank you. So without wasting much time, we're going to talk about Italians are openly refusing to allow black people into their places and jobs. So, this is where we are not right now. In 2025, Italians are not all, but clearly a growing number are openly refusing to let black people into their businesses, into certain spaces, and even denying them jobs, just for being black. And it is not being whispered anymore. It is being said loud and proud. So let me not talk much. Let's watch this video, then we'll meet after the video so that we can comment and talk about it. Keep in touch.
So I'm going to address this once because it's always the most asked question since I am a black person who moved to Europe. I'm not allowed to make content about me living my best life in Italy without people just assuming that I'm either oblivious to, or worse, I'm ignoring the elephant in the room. Is there racism in Italy? I moved to Italy in 2014 to study economics, and since then I've had a pretty successful digital marketing career, both as a creator and as a manager. That said, after 8 years of living here, I can say that yes, there is racism in Italy. But as with everything in Italy, and I think anywhere else, it depends. Because different, we'll call them categories of black people, get treated, well, differently. If you're black and from a developing country, the racism might be more overt because it accompanies the general ignorance that Westerners and a lot of Europeans tend to have towards developing countries, in specific, the continent of Africa. If you're black and you're Italian, you've probably spent most of your life dealing with white Italians denying your identity and Italianness while simultaneously embracing Italian descendants abroad who can't even speak Italian. If you're a black person from a Western country like the US or the UK, your passport privilege will probably shield you from a lot of the more overt forms of racism experienced by others. But be aware that the longer that you live here and the more that you integrate into society, the less obvious your Americanness will be. And furthermore, your kids won't have the same privilege that you did. They will be black Italians and will end up with all the difficulties that come along with that. On top of all of this, Italy is one of the Western countries that, due to various societal and economic changes, has been increasingly electing far-right politicians who then fan the flames of the fire. Coupled with social media and the widespread use of smartphones, this is why you're hearing about more and more racially charged incidences in Italy as time goes on. This nuance is what allows for there to be so many conflicting experiences and answers to this not so difficult question. So there is racism in Italy, but should that stop you from coming here?
I've done some joke videos on and off about traveling to Italy whilst being black, but this one is a bit more serious because they got me wondering about my suitability to answer this question. As a tourist of color, should you go to Italy? I think the answer might lie with concepts of risk and reward. I love Italy. I specialized in Roman archaeology while I was younger. I love Italian architecture. So for me, it's a risk that I'm willing to take. But I'm able to take that risk because I have a series of privileges that insulate me from certain types of situations. Have I been subjected to outright racism and microaggressions in Italy? Yes. It used to happen in airports all the time. It stridently happened in Milan and also in Rome. Although I should note that when I went to those cities, I went for work rather than for leisure. The majority of time that I've spent in Italy since 2009 has been for leisure. Those privileges that I spoke beforehand, none of which I can control, really had a factor in assuring my well-being there. First one, light skin privilege. I know that the fact that I'm mixed race guarantees that I'm treated in a different way than I would if I was darker skinned. And this is something that I can't control, neither did I choose. The second is class privilege. I usually travel to Italy with my husband and with some friends that we have who are white and privileged. So the places that I stay in and the places that I visit are catered to giving me a bespoke version of what Italy should be like. It's a bit like an Italy from the movies, in which I stay in lovely places and I go to museums and I go to really lovely, authentic restaurants. I'm surrounded by people who speak Italian fluently, and I understand Italian myself. I also tourist cosplay a lot, and what I mean by that is every time that I go to Italy, my wardrobe could be defined as Ivy League American Republican wants to join a golf club. And I do this pretty cynically, because I know that it will make my life easier. But again, this is a type of risk-reward situation. I'm willing to put on preppy garb because I know that it will give me less problems when I'm wandering around in the streets of Venice in the morning. Italy is changing though, and not solely because it wants to change. There's a demographic tsunami coming on. In the next year alone, 600,000 people are going to leave the workforce. And they aren't being substituted by younger people because the country doesn't have the support for mothers who work that it should have. There has been a cultural change and a diaspora of younger Italian people looking outside for opportunities. So this time when I went to Venice, I saw a lot of mixed families. People who live and work there and are integrated in the community in a way that I've never seen before. Hence the right-wing backlash. But my fellow tourists of color, the whole world is anti-black, so choose wisely.
To be here. The news came and asked us what's going on here. Nobody told me that there's going to be a recording. Everybody started crying. Kids were screaming. That reporter came in and doesn't even know who I am. Doesn't know that I'm a medical student. That's a baby on my lap as if I'm the baby's mother. And says to me, tell this baby to hush up so that we can do an interview. Did they even get permission to do the interview? I know. What's going on? We don't do interviews. No, Papa was talking on the phone. He didn't have permission. And had he gotten permission, the nurse would have known about it.
And the patients wouldn't have been so surprised.
The interview that's supposed to be happening. What about people shooting so going to send videos who didn't give consent? I didn't give consent. I'm probably on those videos that you took, and I did not give consent. So don't come here and exploit the public space to push your own BBC agenda. You're only interested in telling one side of the story. There are thousands of students who are financially excluded. Ask anybody here. Medical school is aware of this. Out of all the black graduates that they accept, which they take from the government ones, they only graduate a few. Don't come here and lie. But you must not come here and lie. We are the ones who don't know the time. I am the one going to defer my internal medicine exam because I could not get to hospital. Every single one of these people was at hospital during that time. Ask them, ask Laura. Therefore, make them write 21 days, make us write 21 days list, and they only had to write 7 days list. So don't lie. Don't misrepresent us. Don't misrepresent the movement. Peace must affect every single student. Whether students at medical school, at accounting school, it affects all of us, and we are all in support of this. So don't misrepresent us. I'm done.
All right, guys. You see what I'm showing you? Italian government sends rejected migrants to detention centers in Albania. Listen carefully. Before planning to move to Italy or to cross that sea, you need also to plan for your future. Because if your asylum gets rejected, you may send to these detention centers in Albania. It's like a prison. You understand what I'm saying? Share this video with everyone. Share this video with your family and friends. Italian authorities on Friday transferred about 40 migrants with no permission to remain in the country. Right now in Italy, if your asylum gets rejected, they will send you to these detention centers in Albania. Like I said before, it's like a prison. You understand what I'm saying? So it's better you plan very well before move to Italy. Before you go move to Italy, you need to plan very well. You understand? Because now that prison is like Kirikiri. Now there they carry people go now. So before planning to move to Italy or to cross that sea, you need also to plan for your future. You understand what I'm saying? So share this video with everyone.
I want to answer to this question. The premise is, generally speaking, we're not. The problem is this. When Cristoforo Columbus arrived in 1942, also the Indians were pretty content and happy to see him. Sort of, because he didn't behave very well. The thing is, it wasn't as tragic. As the Native Americans started to notice that there was more and more and more and more people coming, started noticing that these people were starting to push more and more and more into their lands, it's when they become a little bit angry. This is what is happening to Italy, because you need to understand that Italy is part of the European Union. The European Union is saying to Italy that we should let all the asylum seekers in, which is a correct point of view. The problem is that we are the front line and we're literally getting anybody in. Some of them are distributed, many of them stay in Italy. It's becoming more and more and more. A country where people do not make 60 grand a year like you, but in a country where people make $1,500 a month, which is a third of what you guys make. We need to pay taxes to sustain all this. This is becoming worse and worse and worse every single year. Although I agree we should help asylum seekers, I believe that with time the Italian person is feeling more and more attacked, more and more defensive. And its defensiveness translates into the American mind to this. I'm trying to open a perspective here. I'm not talking about mine. I'm just speaking about the general feelings I believe that Italians have.
Black men in Germany are treated way differently than Black women in Germany. Black men are appreciated in Germany. Black men are put in a cultural sense, in a societal sense, you are seen as interesting, whereas Black women are seen as lesser.
An experience,
a novelty in which you can approach voyeuristically, and it's dehumanizing. I was a member at Soho House, and I remember seeing a Black man sitting there, and there was all these white women around him glorifying him, gawking at the fact that he was existing. And I think Black men need to acknowledge that their lived experience in Germany is disproportional to that of a Black woman in Germany.
Yeah, welcome back again to Willy Docu Stories. And right now in Italy, Black immigrants and citizens, mostly from Africa, are facing rising discrimination that's getting harder to ignore. In restaurants, cafes, nightclubs, even barbershops, there are countless reports of Black people being turned away at the door, not for causing a scene, not for breaking any rules, just for existing while Black. And what's worse, some of these places aren't even trying to hide. Some owners straight up say, "We don't want people like you here." Not coded language, not polite racism, just raw, unfiltered rejection and the job market. It's just bad. Black applicants get ignored, underpaid, or flat out rejected even when they are more qualified than white or native-born candidates. Let's be real, racism in Europe isn't new. But what's happening in Italy right now feels different. It feels empowered to be racist without consequences. And why? A lot of fingers are pointing to Italy's growing far-right political movement, leaders who openly demonize immigrants, and media that plays into the fear of the other. But let's zoom out this. This isn't about Italy. It's about how racism mutates in different countries. In the US, it might be police violence or mass incarceration. In Italy, it might be rejection at the door, being made invisible in public life. Some hate, different mask. Now, here's something that hits hard. Many of the Black people being rejected in Italy are there legally. Some were born there. Some speak better Italian than the so-called locals, and yet they are still outsiders. Still seen as outsiders, still treated like invades. And it brings the question, how Black do you have to be for your humanity to be denied, even when you follow every rule? People online are speaking, especially younger Italians and African descent. TikTok is full of videos exposing racism in real time. People being turned away at clubs, harassed by store owners, or ghosted during job interviews. But for every voice speaking out, there's another comment saying, "If you don't like it here, go back to your country." Never mind the fact that Italy is their country. So what now? Are we going to keep pretending Europe is the land of liberal values and equality? Or are we finally going to call out the everyday racism happening in broad daylight? Here's the truth. Italy, just like any other country, has a chance. Keep letting racism fester under the surface until it explodes. Or actually face it, name it, fix it, because turning away black people from public life isn't just discrimination, it's dehumanization. And history shows us where the road leads. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen this happening firsthand? Have you experienced racism abroad that felt just as bad or worse than in the US? This is one of those conversations we can't afford to stay silent on. In this video, opened your eyes. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share. And share it with someone who thinks racism is just an American problem, because clearly it's not. Folks, until next time, stay sharp, stay loud, and never stop calling it what it is. Thank you.